Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get too far into the video, if you would mind hitting that like button, that really helps to get my channel promoted. I appreciate it. I also would love it if you left a comment. It's nice to get questions, constructive criticism. How you do things is always interesting to me. Ideas for videos, all those are great things to leave in the comment section. So today I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to articulate things on a pendant, and I'm going to make a little teddy bear pendant. At least I think I'm going to. We're going to give it a shot. I want his arms and legs to move, and I want his head and body to move separately. So I'm going to make those move separate from each other in two different ways. I'm going to put a sandwich bail on the top. If you're interested in seeing how to make a sandwich bail, I'll put a link up there for you. But it should be fun. We'll see how it works. It'll be a good experiment. First, I'd like to thank my patrons, who are my key group of supporters. Not only have they built this wonderful community over there full of knowledgeable and artistic people who I can interact with, they provide me with financial support, and that's really nice. So thank you for both of those things, but in particular for making such a nice community over there. The other group is my YouTube subscribers, and we just passed 15,300, which is amazing. Thank you so much for that. What I most appreciate from you guys is not only your subscription, but the nice comments that you leave in the comment section. It's nice to know when people tell me that they're getting something useful out of these. It makes it feel like I'm doing some good here then. So thank you for that. Thank you also for the contributions like the Buy Me a Coffee and the Super Thanks. Those things help with the cost of silver, which is really crazy right now. So thanks for that. All right, well, let's get started on this teddy bear. This is one of my design idea books that you can get in my merch store. The current ones, I've started putting some important conversion charts on the back. This one is fractions of an inch to decimals to millimeters, which I find pretty useful since I'm doing a lot more stuff in millimeters these days. It also has a nice grid pattern in the background here, which allows me to draw things up a little bit more accurately. So you can see I'm kind of filling this one up pretty quick. Alright, so here's Chad's weird looking little teddy bear. So I did a couple of things in advance to make sure I could do it. I made his body, but I made it a little bit bigger. And to achieve this, I did some forging on these dapping punches like this with my chasing hammer, which looks like this, as well as my plastic hammer to try and get it to where it's domed a little bit, and then the ends come down like this because I want the arms and legs to stick out just a little bit from the outer edge there. And it always looks a little better if you have some three-dimensionality to something rather than just flat. So I think that'll be fun. What I still have to do is I need to make the head here. I may cut this off a little bit at the top here and then attach a little piece of 16 gauge round wire or something like that, because that's going to be attached to the back of the head here with a little hook like this so that it can hang and move. And that's one of the articulations that I'm talking about. The other articulations are going to be the arms and legs, and I think I'm going to use a socket system where I drill a hole in these various spots right here, and I'm going to solder some 14 or 16 gauge wire to the arms and legs, which I'm going to make out of number 4 low dome half round, I believe. And we'll try and get them to where they fit nice and move nicely. And then we'll either ball up the ends on the inside, or we'll squeeze them so they can't go back through the hole one way or the other. I did one other option that we could have followed, and let me fish it out of the pickle here so you can see. I've seen these done at other times for articulated limbs, especially if you're doing some sort of a doll kind of thing. This one I just took a little disc and a piece of half round wire, and I melted a piece of 14 gauge round on the end so it balled up, drilled a hole in the half round wire, ran it through here, and then balled up the end on this one here. Now it's kind of hard to get that to ball up without melting other stuff, so that concerns me a little bit about this one. It's not something I've done a lot of, but we'll give it a shot and see how it works. If it doesn't, like I said, we'll do something else where we squeeze it and make it so that it can't fit back through the hole again, or some other way to do that. So, all right, but I think rather than having the peg go all the way through like that, I think I'm going to do it or it's just soldered right to the arm and the leg. So first though, I think let's make our head. I've already got the sandwich bail, like I said in the intro, but I cut out a head that's a little bit bigger than that because I made the body a little bit bigger. And we need to dome that a bit, and then we need to add a little snout on him, and then a little silver ball with some wire to decorate it. So let's start by doming this a little bit. Start off with a pretty big dapping punch. I think maybe just a skosh more. Oh, and this is 18 gauge sheet, so you could probably get by with 20 gauge or 22 if you really wanted to. Alright, so I got kind of a dome disc here. Probably file the bottom flattish. Okay, so I punched out a disc at a 22 gauge for his snout, and I kind of shaped it into sort of a rounded triangle like that. And I think if we dome that a little bit, we should be able to mount that on there. But I think before we do that, maybe we should drill his eyes, because I think I'm just going to do little drill holes for his eyes. So let's see if we can't mark those where we want them to be. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to just go punch some holes in there with my drill real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, I drilled some holes there. And we have to shape this a little bit, so let's do the same thing we did here. I think I have to cut it to this size maybe. So if we just do that and then add a nose and mouth on them, that should be about right. Alright, so if you've never been to my channel before, I use primarily hard silver sheet solder for most everything, which looks like this. I use a dribble-on flux, which is a liquid, and my torch is a Silversmith model, which is their acetylene air torch. I use a #1 tip generally. So let's put some hard solder on the back of this nose piece. So it's already in the right place, and then we should be able to just place it here and then solder it down with a little luck. And let me cut some solder before we get started. Guess I should flux this guy too. Now we need to put a nose on there, so I need a little silver ball. So let's make a little silver ball. It's best to make them on charcoal blocks usually. A little piece of scrap wire. How big do we want it? Not super big. Okay, I'm going to flux that, and then I'm going to pick a little bit of solder on there. If you've ever seen pick soldering allows you to pick up a little bit of solder on the end of one of these titanium picks like this and place it exactly where you want it to go. It's a super useful skill. If you're interested, I have a good video up there. Leave a link to. It's one of those skills that kind of moves you to the next level, I think, as far as getting stuff positioned where you want it. Right, let's pull that off. And then, so we got his nose, we got his eyes, we got his little snout. We need a little smiley face with a little line coming up, which goes right up where my mustache is. Let's see, I think I'm going to use some 20 gauge or so for that. That's pretty fine. Here's a little bit of 20 gauge. Let's make a little smile. Whoops. I bent it just a little bit in one direction so it wouldn't roll around too much. I guess I could make a frowning teddy bear. Thank you to those of you who've downloaded my ebook. I really appreciate that. It's a guide to 2023's YouTube tutorials. So since I do 3 per week, that adds up to quite a few tutorials during the year. So I made a guidebook for them for last year, and I will do for this year as well. We've started working on that. But for now, there's a link up there if you want to. Oops. I'll put a link up there for you if you want. Check that out. It's a good way to have a whole bunch of tutorials right at your fingertips. And a nice way to support my channel. So proportionally, it doesn't need to be very big. So I may trim it off a bit. I feel like there's enough solder on here from soldering those two together to where I don't need to add any, probably, if I just solder this down right under his nose there. Question is, can I get it to sit nicely while I do that? Maybe. That's pretty good if nothing moves. Of course, when I flux it, it'll move it probably. Let's see. And try and dry it slowly so it doesn't boil too much and move it around a lot. Kind of chasing this around the pad here. Starting to look like a little bear's head, but we need some ears now. So I need to cut some little discs. I'll probably use my disc cutter to make some little ones. Proportionally. So that's my bail. I think they can be a little bit smaller than that, maybe. Like this one. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to punch out a couple more discs really quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got some ears now. But I think I need to cut a semicircle out of them and then dome them a little bit, and we'll reverse them so they face outwards towards us. They look like cookies with a bite out of them. Okay, dome these a little bit. Okay, so that curve doesn't quite match, so we're going to modify that a little bit. That's a little better. Let's try soldering that one on. Alright, we'll do that one first. See how that works, and then we'll do the other one if it works. Okay? Talking apparently is not one of those things I'm going to be good at today. Hopefully soldering at least I'll be good at. Okay, where did I put the other one? Okay, so we've got those ears soldered on. They're reasonably straight, maybe not perfect. This one could go that way a little bit, maybe, but this bail is going to go up here between these two. So I need a loop that comes up off of there. So I'm going to grab some 16 gauge round wire, and I'm going to solder a piece to the top. I also need on the back of this, for this to be connected to the lower body part, I want a piece of 16 gauge sticking straight out from down here near the bottom, so I can hang that on there. So I'm going to cut two pieces of this stuff, and we'll solder them both on. Do that, hopefully nothing will move around too much, and then I should be able to just pick up a bit of solder and poke this thing right on there. We shall see. I'm going to err on the side of having more wire than I need so that I have plenty. We're going to flux the back of this a little bit. Flux the end of this wire. So mount that to that wire now on the base. I think I might just drill a hole through that so that it hooks over that instead of adding a little wire. I think it'll look okay. So I scaled this up a little bit, so I think I'm going to hold off drilling that hole yet, but I do want to make these legs next. So I'm going to throw that in the pickle for a while. And let's get some of that low dome half round. I did a video about some different uses for it. This will be an interesting use for it since we're making arms and legs for a bear. So I think for scaling it up, we need to make them a little bit longer than that. So let's like that. Well, then I can always cut it off shorter if I want. So, okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of shaping and filing. Just kind of stuffed animal looking. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to solder on a piece of 16 gauge and see what happens. trying to get a sense of how far down to put his arms here for him to look like a normal teddy bear. And I think a little lower than I initially marked, maybe. Maybe right about there. Let me drill a little hole there and see how that looks when we stick it up there. So let's go over and drill a hole. Sorry about the mess over here. I haven't had much chance to clean up lately. I use an ice pick here to give it a little center punch. So now I got to figure out what size drill bit to use here. I'm going to start with this one and then work my way up. That's actually big enough. I think that'll work okay. I'll probably have to cut that shorter than it is, but you know, we'll kind of make adjustments as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and file these other things and drill some more holes, and then we'll start putting this thing together. So I'll be right back. I need to apologize. My side view camera was not filming in the last section, and what I did was I cut some 16 gauge round wire, and I balled up the end, stuck it through the hole, and then cut it to about the length I wanted it to be. And then I laid these individually down like this and soldered them on there with some hard silver solder. And then I fed this this wire that's sticking off of the back of his head after I soldered this on. And I just bent it around into a loop and hooked. I didn't actually solder this one closed. I think I'm going to leave that one open. But I had just thrown it in the pickle, and then I realized that my camera wasn't filming, so I'm very sorry about that. So, but I'll get that cleaned up, and then we'll show you the final product at the end. So hopefully my side camera is actually working this time. I want to apologize again for that. So really what you missed was just me hooking these little bars on here and wrapping this around there. There wasn't too much more than that, so you didn't miss a lot, but just some very careful soldering on these little pieces right there. So you can use easy if you want to. I used hard, but that's my little teddy bear. So I like him a little bit. Evaluation wise, I'd give myself a B- on this one. Like I said, I've never made a teddy bear before, and I was kind of playing with ways to articulate things. So you got the little bars with the balls on them, and then this one, which is just a straight piece of wire that loops around and goes through a hole. So one piece kind of hangs behind the other one. So two different ways to articulate things, and then the bail itself adds some movement too, so I think it kind of makes it fun. So like I said, I give myself a B- on this one. I don't love him, but I like him. Alright, well, I'll take some better pictures and put them at the end after I put them on this chain. Okay, well, that was the articulated teddy bear pendant. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you leave, and take a moment and check out my YouTube channel page. I just passed 400 videos, so I have a ton of content here. I think it would be good if you subscribe, because you can always come back and peruse my 400 videos at your leisure. There's tons of projects, there's tons of skills. It's got different level kind of tutorials, some for beginners, some for intermediate, some for advanced. So there's certainly something you'll find that's interesting there. So make sure to watch a couple of videos and then subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you. The other thing is, check out the video description down below. There's some important links there. If you want to get yourself my ebook, which is a guide to 2023's videos, there's a link to that. If you'd like to get one of those nice design idea books that I talked about at the beginning, there's a link to my merch store where you can buy those. And there's a link to Patreon as well. So check those things out. Check out my Patreon. It's a great place. And then come back and visit again. Take care. Happy silversmithing.